Everyone, I thought it would be good fun to do this little bit on this page from Ivy. We have done our honey pot up here, so I thought we would do this little area. We'll come in close and we can have a little look at what's here. Now I'm going to do these in my Ergosofts. I'm pretty sure I did the honey pot in those too. I'm sorry I can't remember for sure. But so I thought these could go in Ergos as well, and that would be good fun. So we have a sort of spilly jam pot, we have a tub of cherries, a pie and some bread. So it's quite fun to do and quite tricky colours to figure out on some of them as well. So I thought that might be a useful sort of page to do. So if we maybe work from one side to the other, maybe we start with our bread. Now we've got little seeds on the top of the bread, which I need to be aware of. We've got little slits in the bread. Now often, I'm trying to think, it's usually a bit darker on the top than around the side, and the centre would be quite pale. Now finding a bread colour in Ergosofts is a challenge, but what I'm going to do is start with number 43, which is like our sort of peachy colour, and just go all over that with that. Now this is a wholemeal loaf, I don't eat white bread, so that's how I'm colouring it. So it wouldn't be white in the middle, it would be slightly brown, so hence the peach. So just a little bit, just to take the white off, and you can barely see it, which is fine. And now we're going to use this one, which is number 49, and I'm going to think about, like, these crusts would be a bit darker, so I'm going to just start to add in a little bit of colour and sort of think as I go, really. So it's quite an interesting, I mean, I suppose this could be like a sausage roll, right? It'd be too big, wouldn't it? I suppose. So we're going to do this colour. I think I'm going to make those poppy seeds. I know they're too big, but it'll be easier to colour them in if we make them black compared to trying to leave them. If they're sunflower seeds, they would need to be lighter in colour, and I think that's harder to achieve. Maybe I'm being a bit of a lazy wuss, I don't know. But there we go. I think we'll have a bit of colour in there, and then I'm going to start thinking about the top being slightly browned. So I'm going to go for my 76 and do a slightly browner area on the top. I don't want it to be too dark, or else it will be burnt, but just a bit sort of right on the top there. Maybe a bit of shadow down there. Maybe just a little bit there. Okay, now we're going to mix it all up together using the 73. So I want it to be a little bit darker at the base, but not too much. We don't want it to be as dark as our pot of honey or anything. And take the colour up. Mix this one with the dark brown. I really don't know how to make bread crust colour. I just hope it's going to look okay. And around our edges. Okay, let's do our dots. I'm just thinking, I don't know why I'm thinking, I said poppy seeds, that's what I'm going to stick with. And actually the bread, if you look at it, it's got dots inside. Now this is number 9, which is the black. I don't know whether Johanna intended for us to make it like poppy seeds inside, like those dots, or whether they're just supposed to be the little air gaps that you get in well-made bread. Not the bread I make. The bread I make is like a brick. I'm just so rubbish. Even when we had a bread maker, I couldn't make a good loaf of bread. I don't know what was wrong with me. But anyway, I don't bother. I buy delicious bread. There are other people who can do a far better job than me. I'll let them do it. Okay, so there's our seeded loaf. I may come back and fiddle with that, but I think it's okay. I need to think about my pastry. While I'm thinking about trying to make the pastry look different to the bread, I'm going to do the leaves on our tin and think about actually what colour pie tin is that? Or pie dish, actually. So we've got a, yeah, we've got a leaf design. I'm going to grab the number 5. Okay, now thinking about, we've got a dish, it's got a pattern printed on it. there wouldn't be shading. These aren't leaves that are wrapped around the dish as far as I am thinking. This is a pattern stamped on the dish, and what that means is that they would all be a sort of set colour. There wouldn't be any shading, they would just be printed on. That's what I'm thinking. So I'm trying to do it so they're fairly solid in colour, if I can. So then we don't have to, it makes it simpler as well, we don't have to worry about light and shade, we can just pop them on here. Now I've chosen this bluey green colour for a reason. I thought we would do the rest of the dish in a blue. I thought we won't have any other blue because, well, we've got a bowl, I guess that could be blue, but our cherries and things, yeah, strawberries, it's not going to be blue. So I thought it'd be just nice to have a blue in here. So this one is number 35. I'm going to start under the rim, and it would be a little bit darker there where there'd be a bit of shadow, and we'll just fade it gently down, keeping it really simple. And just moving across. I think that works together with the green. They say blue and green should never be seen. I remember being told that with regards to clothing as a child. But I don't think I had many. I had a lot of brown, red. I was a 70s child. I don't remember having much blue or green. I'm sure I probably had all sorts of colours. My mum used to always be buying us new outfits. I guess we grew a lot, me and my sister. Being twins, we were always dressed the same. I'm just going to do a layer across here, and then I might add a little bit of extra colour in some areas. Yeah, it was the thing in the 70s to dress your children the same. Even siblings of a similar age got dressed the same. I'm thinking in here maybe a bit darker. So yeah, we used to, so in school we were dressed the same because of our uniform, although at an older age we asked to be slightly different because we used to find it annoying that people couldn't tell us apart. Right, pastry. And to make this slightly darker than this, I think sometimes pastry, particularly pie pastry, can be baked to a 49 to a higher temperature than bread. I'm just going to sneeze, hold on. Oh, sorry about that. Yes, I've watched lots of episodes of Bake Off. I've never made a water pastry before, partly because it uses lard and I never buy lard. I guess I used to be a vegan actually, just because I thought it was healthier not to eat any animal products, and then I started seeing things about healthiness of eating dairy, and so reintroduced them, but I find that eggs and dairy don't suit me, so it's not something that I can eat anymore anyway. I have no choice. Right, we've done a basic layer, and I'm thinking, got my 73, and I'm trying to think about where would be darker. I'm thinking the top of the pie. I'm going to ignore the crisscross at the minute and just mark in where it would be. I've caught the heat, what's the word, I don't know. It would have just browned a bit more on the top, I reckon. So I'm going to brown it a little more there, like that, and then we'll think about the might be a bit of shadow along there. We won't worry about that at the moment actually, we'll just brown that bit more. Whoops, gone out the lines. Yeah, so I've never made lard type pastries, having been sort of vegetarian and vegan, but I'm rubbish at making pastry, absolutely useless. So number 76. I don't eat it anymore anyway. This is what I'm going to use for my shadow. I'm going to use a little bit along here, just to sort of show a bit of shadow from the edge of the pot, tray, container, dish, that's the word. Oh dear. It's been a long week. It's Monday. I don't really have an excuse. So let's do a little bit of shadow on this side of each of our little pastry pieces, because we want them to look like they're standing up, because they would be. You notice I'm not doing it on that bit. I think it might look a little odd. And now I'm going to do them, I think, under this side. I think it might just need it only on one side, but I may be wrong. Yeah, I've watched Bake Off. I'm sure I could follow a recipe and do it okay, but I always guess. And that's probably my problem. I think we need just a little bit on all the other sides as well. Because I don't like white flour, I like using wholemeal. There aren't so many recipes for it, and it's heavier, so it just doesn't always work so well. But never mind. As I say, I don't really eat pastries. I think we'll leave that there. Looks quite tasty actually. Just imagine cutting into that with a big spoon. What's under there? Apples. Right, cherries. Now in our Ergosoft set we do not have a cherry pink of any description. Our darkest pinky red is this. Now I'm not sure that looks very cherry-like, so what I'm going to do is mix together some colours and make a better cherry colour. Okay, so I'm going to start with the purple. This is number 6. Now I want my cherries not to be an even colour all over. I want them to maybe be a little bit darker somewhere and lighter somewhere else. You could darken at one side or at the bottom or around the outside. So I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to go all over in purple, like that. Then mark out where I want it to be a bit darker. I'm going to go all the way around the edge and up a little bit at the bottom. So my lightest bit is just below the top. That's what I'm going to do. And we'll do all of them. We'll sort out those leaves after, so it's easier just to put your light layer over all of them. Now I'm going to do it in those gaps as well, because you would see cherries through. These don't have to be cherries in the bowl. These look like cherries because there's 3, but you could do a different fruit in the bowl if you wanted, but I just think it sort of makes sense. It does to me anyway, but I don't think like everybody else, so you may think something different. So we'll carry on in the same way I did here. I think it's quite useful to use the dark colour to add in the where you want the contrast of different colours. Trying to do that, if you did too much purple, trying to then do that with the red could be quite tricky. My son is chattering away next door. It's lovely. I think he's playing some Minecraft games, so having fun. So that's good. He hasn't done any work today. I shall have to see if he needs to do any later or a bit extra tomorrow, but we'll see. We need a bit of a rest. I think next week they're having a rest. It's their birthday. This is number 23. So they're going to have a week off. They've decided, which is nice. My husband's also having a week off. I'm going to try and keep with that light and shade feeling across it, but I want it all to go pink. Now the Ergosoft don't naturally blend like a Prisma would. They don't smush together, but you can look at them and you can see the difference in colour. I think for me that's the colour I'm happy with. It's almost like, rather than properly mixing together, you can look through the top colour and see the one underneath. So they're sort of transparent, I suppose. I don't know, is transparent the right word? Not sure. Anyway, like glass, but not quite as much. See-through. But they still work well on top of each other. It means you can produce different colours, which can be good. So we've only got a maximum of 36. I was quite surprised they didn't then expand their range, but because they do more colours in other ranges of pencils, but they seem to decide to concentrate on their design journey pencils, which I haven't tried, but I gather a slightly lower quality, price, yeah, more budgety, which is okay. And I guess maybe because they've had complaints about these because of the barrels. And I don't know if you struggle like me and the barrels can get quite sticky. I won't be using these after today because we're getting another heat wave. And I'm not convinced that they won't melt all over me. I'm going to use 38 for the leaves. It's quite a dark colour. I think it goes well with the colours we've used. I'm just going to fade it towards the tip of each leaf. I'm trying to think of what colour to do this pot container. We could take one of the colours from the cherries, but I think that might emphasise one colour more than the other, which isn't what I really want to achieve. Let's have a look. What have we got? We could do a pale pink. I think that might look quite nice, but we've got the jam, which is going to be red. I know. Go slightly different, and we'll do the lilac-y, lavendery, pale purple, whatever you want to call it. I'm going to try and layer up more here and a bit less towards the middle, so that we get a contrast in colour. Gosh, I'm getting quite thirsty already. It's 1:45. Quite a long time since lunch. I have got some water here which I might grab in a minute. So I'm just layering it up until I'm happy with how the layers are falling. And I think if you put more on the edges, it just helps the bowl to look a little rounder. Now I quite like this rim in white, but our paper isn't white. So I could try to use the Ergosoft white, put down some white on it. This is number 0. I like how the Ergosofts, they have thought hard about the fact that you can't see, that the pencils are written on in white, and obviously you can't see that on the white pencil, so they've written on it in blue. And I just think it's quite clever, and some pencil manufacturers haven't seemed to think of that, and it can be quite hard to read some of their names. I don't know if that looks whiter than the paper. I think it does. It's not always easy to tell with white, is it? I'm really layering it down. Anyways, let's move on to our jar. So we've got our strawberry jam. Now I always think orangey reds for strawberry. We'll try the number 2. Might be a little bit too orangey. Just going to try and get an even layer on the picture, because again it's a picture, it might be a stylized picture rather than a photo on the jar, like that. Now the jam, I'm going to do the same colour. So we'll do the dribble of jam, and then we need to think, is the jar going to be full? You know, the jam isn't going to come right up to here, so if we do the jar as if it's see-through, the jam's going to end at some point. So we need to think about that. Someone's been very spilly, haven't they, with this jam? What waste. So I'm thinking, let's do it up to about there. So I'm going to colour, I'm going to colour it quite dark actually. Not sure I've done the label right, because why is it like that with that circle? Colour over that circle. Confuses me a little bit. So I'm just getting quite a heavy layer. The reason I want such a heavy layer is not only because I want the jam to look like it's quite intense in colour, because I think it would be, but also because I want to draw on some shine onto my jar at the end, and it will show up much better if we've got a more intense colour. I'm wondering actually, because if we take that up just a little bit more to there, and then we can put in just a bit of red here. I think it looks a little bit better to have a bit on each side. Okay, so we need to think about doing our jar. Now there might be some jam inside, on the inside of the rim, but I'm going to pretend there isn't just for ease. So I'm going to grab my grey, number 80, to draw on a few bits of my jar. So I'm thinking maybe it would fade towards the middle, where the light might be catching the jar, like that. And the same here. Like that, and inside might be darker. Now, definitely need something. Let's get the green on it, on the strawberry bit, tuft, whatever it is, 52, the leaf, I suppose. Again, because this is a picture, I'm not going to shade, I'm just going to keep it as it is. Now I'm thinking that the jam in the jar might need a bit of shading, so I'm going to grab my number 29, which is my red. I can make it a little bit darker at the bottom here. It might not be that noticeable, and just take the colour up a bit. And then thinking more about these, I think they might be a little bit darker at the bottom. Down the side. Can't really see it that well, but I'm happy. Now we've got our background of our label. I'm thinking a yellow might be a good colour. I don't know. I'm thinking if I was designing that label for that jam jar, what colour would I do it? I've got no idea. With this label, sorry I didn't say it's number 1, just in case you couldn't see. I know it doesn't always show up very well. I do my best, but sometimes it doesn't just get picked up by the light very well. So there is our label finished. Now I think it's time to think about any finishing touches. I'm just having a little look. My cherries, I think, need another layer of colour. I feel they look a little bit odd. I'm just going to move all my pencils back out of my way. I am going to try number 61 to just try and see if I can just improve their colour. It might be that we've maxed out on our layers, but I think it might just take us a little bit darker. Now it depends on what variety of cherry you're trying to imitate as to what colour it would be. I did start by thinking Morello cherry, but they're too pale for that. So I guess it's just something else. Some cherries are quite red, so you could do them red. And some, like the Morello cherry, are almost black. So there's that colour. I feel happier with that. number 33, a really light amount to shadow. Maybe it does look a bit blue. To add in some shadows. So I hope everyone's doing well. We had saw ducklings this morning on our way into town, which was gorgeous. I think there were 6. My son was just the meanest. He went like that, as if we know there are pike in the water, they eat the ducklings. He was very naughty. He thought he was hilarious, of course. Right, white Posca pen. Now, if you don't think the white on your jar is white enough, you can bring in the pen. That's not what I'm going to use it for, though. Oh, I can try and open it. There we go. So this is a PC1MR. It's the thinnest pen. I'm going to start this end, actually. I was just going to start doing the jar, but I think I'll just have a think. I think we might put a little bit of shine just on the edge of here. I'm wondering if there would be any on the top of here, just where we might have put a little bit of glaze. You know, if you I'm just going to get it going. It's a little bit faint. There we go. Sometimes put a bit of glaze on top of pastry. The fact that it was quite faint was probably a good thing for that. And I'm thinking we'll put a little bit of shine on our bowl like that, and we can put a little bit on each of our cherries, just a tiny bit, but keep that all on the same side. And then it looks like the light is coming from the same direction. So those that have this side of them covered over, don't put any shine on them. There we go. And then the jar, and I've put a big lot of shine down here. We can put a bit, I'm tempted to cover that bit there with some. And we can do a little bit around here maybe. A few bits on the top, just covering up some of those lines. There we go. Let's have a look. I'm going to do a bit on the jam, just on the edges of this bit. It's always very tempting to put some on this because it will make it look more interesting, but no, because that's a painting, that's the idea we're going to give. So I think that is probably done. I'm just going to have a little look over it. I'm happy with that. I'm still not happy, the cherry colours are a little bit odd still, but that's the best I could do with what I had. So I'm happy with the effort I put in and how it's come out really. So that's good, I like my jam. So there we go. So thank you very much for watching. Now we can complete the page because we've got the honey pot and the extra feast items underneath. So thank you for watching. I hope you have a really lovely day and happy colouring.